What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today I want to take a look at a new knife. I've been waiting for this one for a while. It's a production knife from Zero Tolerance, and it is the ZT-0460. This is like a follow-up or spiritual successor to the 0450, which is one of my all-time favorite knives. Not just all-time favorite Zero Tolerance knives, just one of my all-time favorite knives, period. They were both designed by Dmitri Sinkevich. They're both on the smallish side of the EDC production knife spectrum. And they both just make really great EDCs. So let's go ahead and jump into the specs. Blade length is 3¼ inches of CPM S35VN. Now over time, if the 0460 is anything like the 0450, you're probably going to see a whole shitload of sprint runs in different steels. But this initial version is S35VN, as was the original version of the 0450. So where the 0450 was more of a drop point, maybe a modified drop point, this is, I would say, probably closer to a clip point or trailing point. It's got that very upswept look, but what we're left with here is a very usable and gradual belly here. So you might not have nearly as much straight edge here, but you have plenty of, I mean, basically the whole thing is belly. It's a very high flat grind with the grinder satin there. As far as capabilities go, this is brand new to me, so I haven't pressed it into service, but if it's anything like other trailing point upswept blade types that I've had before, they make excellent slicers, and I can just feel that the edge is nice. So yeah, it's going to be great for kitchen stuff. That's where these kind of upswept blade styles tend to excel. Really great for slicing, that kind of stuff. So handle length is 4¼ for an overall of 7½. The 0450 was 4⅛, so just slightly smaller blade handle length. It does have the carbon fiber on the show side with a bronze rust colored inlay that they put into the carbon fiber there. It does have a nice texture to it. It's not just completely polished flat. You can see it's been contoured, and I know that this has been probably the biggest point of contention for a lot of people when it comes to this knife is the handle shape. For people with, I guess, medium or small hands, this bulge right there can be very uncomfortable. As far as I go, my pinky sits right over top of that, so it's very comfortable for me. But I understand if I tried to cramp my hands into that little space there, yeah, that would probably dig into me and be uncomfortable. But for anybody with a I guess average or slightly above average hand, it's not going to be a problem. Your pinky's going to fall right on that flat part, and your 3 fingers are going to be the ones that go into that recess there. So yeah, comfortable to hold, comfortable to use. It's titanium on the lock side. They've done additional afterwork here with the line pattern milled into the contoured portion of the titanium, which I think looks really nice. It's also been contoured here on the The back, there are no sharp edges anywhere. It's all rounded off and comfortable. Yeah, it's got the nice deep stonewash. One thing that I was not crazy about on the 0450, which I did bring with me, so let me show it to you. This is my ZDP version of the 0450, if I can get it out of my pocket. So you'll notice on this 0450, both of the pivot screw sides are able to be moved, able to be turned. So you do need two tools to take this apart. Whereas what they did with this was obviously give you a hexagonal shape here, milled out of the titanium, and then a pivot screw on the locking side that does not move. So you just have to worry about the show side when you're taking the knife apart. Let's see. So here you can see that drop point. You can see the drop point here that I was talking about. Whereas this is more of a clip point. It comes to a much finer tip. So for any kind of work that needs piercing, I would say that this would probably be a little bit better. Pocket clips are another fairly significant difference. This one sits a little bit more into the center of the knife, and when it comes to these knives and how they carry in your pocket, I actually think I would prefer, well, I do prefer the way that the 0450 sits, because it's more of a straight line, and it sits closer to the edge of your pocket, if that makes sense. Whereas when the 0460 is in your pocket, this spine portion sits and juts out, so you have less pocket space available with the 0460. That being said, they're both extremely thin in profile, and even though this does have that additional space taken up with the spine, it is still plenty skinny as far as width goes. You can see on the carbon fiber on this one, it's more of a plain, straight, no real contouring after other than the chamfered edges, whereas with the 0460, this has that same pattern milled out that it does on the locking side into the carbon fiber. So a little bit more after work went into this one. Another fairly significant difference is the flipper tab. This one comes to a fairly sharp-ish point, whereas the flipper tab on the 0450 is more rounded. I would prefer a more rounded flipper tab on the 0460. I do love where they put it. It's nice and high. It's above the pivot. It's facing up. It's not a big deal. It's just a little thing that when you're flipping it incessantly, as I tend to do, it would just feel a little bit better if it was a little bit more rounded. So as far as weight goes, they're both incredibly lightweight. This is 2.3, this is 2.4. I don't know the weight on the full titanium version, like the standard version, but suffice to say, very lightweight. And that's with this having standoffs and this having a backspacer. So this is significantly, you know, obviously a little bit longer in the handle, but it does have a slightly lesser weight, probably because of the additional material removed from the locking side and the carbon fiber show side. What else can we talk about? Action. This one's been breaking in for a little while, and it's exceptionally smooth. I mean, it was smooth out of the box, but it's exceptionally smooth now. This one is fresh out of the box, and it's just as smooth. And it's maybe even just a little bit snappier, probably because of the positioning of the flipper tab than the 0450. But very fun knife to flip. Centering, fit and finish are all perfect, so kudos to Zero Tolerance for that. I think this is more of a knife for people who love knives. If you put this in the hands of somebody who is not a knife user, they're probably not going to dig it too much. It looks kind of odd. It looks a little aggressive, whereas this is a little bit more plain Jane, I guess. More accessible to everybody. So I think probably my favorite between the two is probably the 460, but it's a slim margin, and I think that the 0450 is probably going to hit a wider audience. The little details that kind of give this the edge in my mind, in my opinion, are things that will probably not be for everybody. Not everybody's probably gonna love the things that I love about it. The handle size is a little bit more hit or miss. You know, if you don't have hands that are large enough to get over that swell there, it's not going to be probably a comfortable knife to use. So I definitely think that this knife has a home. I don't think it's going to be as popular as the 0450 was. I think the 0450 was an overwhelming success. This is probably going to be more of a niche type knife for people that are big fans of Zero Tolerance and the 0450. That being said, it's an exceptionally well-made knife. They did such a good job on this thing. It's just got so many more little details. Yeah, the pocket clip is probably a little odd looking. To me, I actually kind of like it though. I like the spelled out Zero Tolerance as opposed to the ZT logo. And I like the positioning. It looks different. They could have gone for, you know, a pocket clip that just goes up like that. And maybe that even would have worked out a little bit better as far as pocket carry goes. But we'll see. Maybe we'll see a version like that in the future. Who knows? Alright guys, this video is running a little bit long, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. This video kind of jumped to the front of the line ahead of a shit ton of other knives that have been piling up that needing to be reviewed. The weather had been kind of crappy. Now that it's nice out, hopefully I'll get these things reviewed as quickly as possible. There's another production knife that I want to review next that's got a little bit of a drama surrounding it, so hopefully that'll be interesting. But stay tuned guys. Thanks for watching and take it easy.